Hello and welcome back to the Love Machine podcast. I'm your host, James Preece, and today we're diving deep into the wild world of modern dating. What actually works, what doesn't, and why real matchmaking is making a huge comeback. Let's be honest, dating today can feel like a never ending cycle of swipes, ghosting, and meaningless small talk. In fact, did you know that over 50% of singles say they feel completely burnt out from online dating? That's because endless texting and algorithm based matches often leave people feeling even more disconnected than ever before. But there's good news, there is a better way. And joining me today is the incredible Katie Campbell, founder of Soul Matchmaking. Katie is on a mission to bring back real, meaningful connections in an age where people are craving something much more than just another match on any old app. She left a successful career in corporate finance to follow her passion, helping people find love in a way that actually works. And we're going to break down for you what exactly successful relationships are built on, how matchmaking can give you an edge in your own love life, and how to overcome the most common dating struggles that keep people absolutely stuck and frustrated. So if you're tired of the dating roller coaster and ready for real love, this is the episode for you. Katie, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. I am looking forward to this episode. I have a confession to my listeners. For the first time ever, we actually recorded this podcast about a week or so ago, and I put my hands up. I didn't record it. And it's my own fault. We stopped and we started. And so I feel that Katie today, we're going to have a really natural conversation. Neither of us have any clue what we spoke about last time, which is good. But I'm only saying this to show everyone that I'm a human too, and I make mistakes. So I didn't need to say this. I could cut this out. Maybe I will when I edit this. We'll see how we get on. But I want you to know that even though with 250 plus episodes, I forgot to press record. But today, as you can hear, I've pressed record and I'm thrilled to have you back. So Katie, first of all, can you introduce yourself to my listeners? What is soul matchmaking and how did you get into this?
Yeah, so like you said, my name is Katie and I live here in Ontario, Canada. I've had my business for a couple of years now, and like a lot of people, I worked from home in the corporate world, especially during COVID, and I got very burnt out, felt very unfulfilled with my career and sort of where my life was going. So I took a step back and, I brought two problems together and two things that I love together. So obviously, there's a big issue with dating, and we all know it. And I'm a big networker. I love people. I love connecting with people. I think human interaction is extremely important, and we really lack that in the modern world, the modern dating world. So I took these problems or one good thing and a problem and put them together and decided to take my stab at matchmaking. I'm a very good, reader of people. I'm a people person. So, um, yeah, so far it's great. I love it. There's like a big underworld of matchmakers out there, and it's quite popular, and it's definitely making a comeback.
I believe that completely. I think the trends of this year are real life dating, which also involves matchmaking. People are so sick and absolutely frustrated on these apps, as I mentioned in the intro. And I see this every single day. I work with many different matchmakers around the world, and I'm seeing them all being massively busy. Why do you think that is? Beyond the fact that people are sick of these dating apps, why do you think people are turning to matchmaking much more than ever before?
Well, I think there's definitely an issue with people figuring out how to approach someone in real life. Back before online dating and really the internet as we know it, you could just approach someone. You ask someone for their phone number, and for us here, we waited till 9 p.m. to call someone because it was free after 9 p.m. It's
Absolutely.
very old school. So even, if you were out at a bar or a restaurant, grocery store, wherever, you know, there was no issues approaching people and asking for their numbers. They said no, that didn't matter either. And now people are scared. People are very aggressive sometimes, or they have these expectations right away. And if you don't instantly meet them, they're going to shut you down. So both men and women, I think, have a big problem, and they're scared to approach people out in the real world. So if you're not online and on online dating, and maybe you work from home, and or you're a parent and your life is busy and revolves around your kids or your job, it's hard to meet people out and about in the real world. And we're all tired, so we sit at home. So it's hard to meet people out there.
It is tough. I think approaching people has become harder than ever before, like you said.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons is so many people are vying for our attention when we walk around. So we are being sold to. We get the homeless coming up for their coins. We're coming up. Everyone's just talking to us all the time. So we want to focus, get on with what we're doing, and not be spoken to in our everyday lives. Of course, if you're on a night out, maybe you're more receptive to that. But people aren't going out as much nowadays, particularly over here in the UK. We can't afford to go out. It's so expensive to
Yeah.
go out. And then the trains don't get back in time and it's dark and it's cold. So I think people are going old school. And that's where matchmaking comes in. Because, of course, matchmaking is not a new thing, it's always existed. There's always
Yeah.
been a figurehead as part of the community, the family who looks after people. And some companies have been going, well, some that I work with have been going over 40 years. But I'm seeing more and more spring up now. So, who do you cater for in particular?
Um, I like to say the average Joe. I mean, I think people, average everyday people, even like myself, deserve love. And like you said, especially here in Canada too, it's extremely expensive to do anything. It's expensive just to breathe, essentially.
Yeah.
So people aren't going out, they can't afford to go on these lavish dates, which I don't think is important to do on a first date any day, anyways. Um, yeah, so I like to cater to anybody who's looking for love, who maybe just needs a little bit of help, whether it's just coaching, how to approach people, how to have a successful first date. Obviously, I can't hold your hand throughout your relationship, but I'm there to guide you in the beginning. Obviously, introduce you to someone who I know you're going to connect with. And then obviously, it's up to you to take it from there. Um, and even all different economic levels. Everyone's looking for love.
Absolutely. But you mentioned about the cost of things, and the matchmaking is not a cheap process, is it? So, what are the advantages of hiring a matchmaker to help you on your way?
Um, One of the things I tell everybody is it's an investment. Obviously, some matchmakers are a little more affordable, some are very expensive. It just depends sort of what they're offering and sort of the caliber of people that they deal with. Um, but I like to say it's an investment. It's an investment just like anything. So, you could either go on Tinder and keep paying the monthly, upgrade. I don't know what they are, but I'm sure they're out there. Or you can just invest in a one-time process. Let me help you, let me guide you. Um, think of it as a lifetime investment. You're here to find someone to spend the rest of your life with, or a long-term relationship at least. So it takes time, it takes effort, it takes emotion. So it's all part of the investment.
It's funny you mention investment and time because I hear people say to me every day, because I help people choose the right matchmaker. They can call me up and say, which one should I go with? Because I work with so many. And they said, well, I really want to do this. I want to start a family very soon, but I can't afford it just now. I'm going to wait till maybe the summer or wait till next year or some obstacle comes up. So I tell them, you can always make money, but you can't get your time back. And that's
Mhm.
what a matchmaker does. You're going to work with them, you're going to fast track this. As you said, get off the dating apps. No need to be doing that anymore. You're going to make this happen so much faster than on their own. And it's the best investment you can make in yourself. I think I call it self love in itself, isn't it? It's giving a gift to yourself, saying that you're worth this. And it's not the absolutely expensive thing in the world, is it? But it's still an investment. And like any investment, you want to put your money where it's going to work. And I think matchmaking absolutely does that. So when somebody comes to you, let's supposing someone's listening now and they're in do you cover the whole of Canada or just certain parts?
For the majority, I do North America. I mean, obviously, I get a lot more Canadians, but I do work with Americans as well.
Okay. Do you find that's competitive with other matchmakers, or are you cross matching with them, or it's difficult?
No, I mean, so far I've never, dealt with a matchmaker who wasn't there for the same reasons. I don't have anyone going, yeah, you're stepping on my turf. Like we're all a big community and we're all here to help each other.
That wasn't always the way. I think 10 years ago it was very competitive. People didn't talk to each other. But certain things, including the pandemic, have really helped people bring them together. And it's realised we're not just fighting each other, we should work together. And I've noticed a real trend for that. And matchmakers supporting matchmakers, which is great.
Yeah,
So let's
yeah.
supposing someone's coming to you now. How does the process work? Do they have to meet you? Do you do it by Zoom? Do you do it face to face?
I do obviously everything. If I have someone who's local to me, I always ask if they want to go out for coffee or whatever it is. It's nice to meet face to face because you can really get to know someone better. You get to know sort of their mannerisms and how they speak and their body language. Obviously, if they're further away, Zoom is fine as well.
Hmm.
Um, my process isn't very difficult, or I don't think it's difficult, but it kind of weeds out the people who aren't serious.
Okay.
Like, you know, all you have to do is go on my website, you fill out the questionnaire, because that just gives me a better idea of who you are and what you're looking for. Then we meet. It's part of the vetting process because, as you would know as well, with matchmaking, safety is number one, safety and authenticity. Like, we want to make sure you're in it for the right reasons, you are who you say you are. You're not married or anything. So we go on, and then we obviously will meet in person or Zoom. It's just part of the vetting. And then I decide if we're going to work well together. So I'm not here to take people's money and just run with it. If I don't think I can help you or we're not going to work well together, I don't take you on as a client. Because I'm a boutique matchmaker, it's just me. So I work very closely with my clients. So if I know it's going to be a really tough relationship or you're going to be a tough cookie to crack, sometimes it's just not worth it. And I don't take on those clients.
How do you decide that? How do you know when someone's not right for you?
It's just a feeling, just sort of by their answers and talking with them and getting to know them. I haven't had any bad experiences so far, which is good. But it's just a feeling that I know. I'm not here to sort of steal people's money. And I've had people come to me and complain about other matchmakers and their processes. And they're like, oh, they just took my money and never set me up with someone compatible. And it was just sort of like they're just sending me out with anybody just to make their quota type of thing. And I'm not like that. So I'm here to help you. If I can't help you, I feel really bad. So I want to make sure that I'm doing the best job for you.
That's good to know. There are some terrible companies out there. Ones I don't
Yeah.
work with, I should say. I would never
Yeah.
get them on the podcast. Who do just take
Yeah.
people's money, promise them the earth, and then don't deliver
Yeah.
on it. That's
Yeah.
why people can call me up and say which one should I join, because I know people really well. I get to know them, and it can help. I think. If How does someone find you? Is it a website? Is it word of mouth? What's the most common way?
So when I first started really putting myself out there, I went to like the local, farmers markets and, summer markets, and I would go to trade shows and expos and, put my flyer on people's cars. Obviously, then my name started getting out there. So I do have, Instagram and Facebook that you can find me on, obviously my website as well. And a lot of it is word of mouth. Like, I get people who come to me and go, oh, I talked to so and so and they met with you and I want to try, or whatever it is. So it's good.
I think word of mouth is what grows any successful dating business, because if someone has a good experience, people buy into people, don't they? They buy into the individual. So if they get to know you and they trust you, they will tell their friends to do that. And
Yeah.
that's a really powerful thing, because dating is networking ultimately.
Yeah.
It is,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it is
Exactly.
increasing the amount of leads that you get in the funnel. That's what I say when it comes to it. And that's how matchmakers can help. And
Yeah. It's tough though, like starting any business in the
yeah,
beginning. Boy, I'll tell you, there's some highs and some lows. But it's once it starts sort of building momentum and you get going and you know what you're doing, I become a better, businesswoman and a better matchmaker. It's sort of trial and error.
of course, you're learning to be better at what you do, and it never stops. I've been doing this 20 years,
Right.
I'm still learning. But
Yeah.
there are definitely struggles with matchmaking when you are launching. And I get approached by lots of companies who want me to help them when they're first launching. And one of the biggest problems actually is getting a bank account in the first place. Did you have that trouble in where you are? But over here,
Um,
frowned
the
upon.
bank account, no, but insurance, yes.
That
It's
as
a
well.
very interesting field that insurance companies don't want
Don't
you
want
put
to.
on their roster. But I actually think my company's out of the UK. That's how far I had to find it.
Wow. Yeah, ours, it's very difficult to do that, I think. But I don't know how, I don't know, I'm only asking the question because I don't know what the answer is. Because I'm not a matchmaker myself. I have to have
Yeah,
insurance, but not in the same way.
yeah.
But okay, so let's talk about the common struggles that most singles are going through at the moment. We know that they hate the dating apps and
hmm
it's hard to approach people. What other ones do you see?
It's definitely, trust. You're trusting that this person is actually single and has good intentions.
Mm.
It's hard trusting, putting yourself out there and being vulnerable to somebody. Even myself as a matchmaker, I get ghosted all the time. Like, it's pretty wild, reaching out to people and chatting with them and then never hearing from them again. Or they went out with somebody and then I'm following up and then, trying to set up a second date and then you never hear from them again. And you're like, oh my gosh, like I have to deal with the same struggles as the people dating. And I'm not even the one dating. I just think there's so many ways to get out of something nowadays that people don't have to be upfront and honest. So it's easy to hide, and that's a big, big issue. It's just who's authentic and who's not.
Yeah, and again, that's why a matchmaker comes in to do the vetting and to find out. And as a dating coach too, I have to do that for people, making sure people are filtered in the right way. There's
Yeah,
a lot of time wasting people out there, and I don't think it's always
yeah,
intentional. Sometimes people do what I say is always my phrase, it's self-sabotage. They really
yeah,
want to do this and make it work, but they tell themselves, oh, there's no point doing it because no one's going to find you attractive, or it's going to be a waste of money, it's not going to work. And I think encouragement definitely helps there, but people are nervous about dating. And I see
yeah.
that as an obstacle. And I think boundaries are difficult, people aren't really sure. And there's so many reasons not to date people nowadays as well.
Yeah. I always say too, whether it's with a client or someone that I've, is just going on a date with somebody, I always say like communication is number one. Communicate even after the date. How did you feel? Do you want to see them again? Maybe why you're hesitant. Like, I always like, let's start a trend where people say what they feel. Let's start a trend where people say, you know what, I'm not interested, but thank you for going out with me. What's the harm in just, giving someone the courtesy and that communication that you're interested or not interested and sort of where you're at and what your fears are and all that fun stuff. But people, it's just so easy for people to disappear and it becomes a trend. And I'm a little old school. I don't think that's okay.
And nor do I. Do you think it's a good idea to ask for feedback of the person if they say no? What can I improve upon next
um,
time?
I think so, yes. Some people are a little more sensitive, but it it's important for you to get that feedback. Things that maybe you can improve on. Maybe you just said one thing that triggered them and it wasn't intentional and you can work on it or, apologize for whatever it is. Um, if the person's going to give them feedback about why they didn't want to go out with them again and it's like really harsh and negative and critical, maybe just keep it to yourself. If it's it's not going to be beneficial for the other person and you're just being a jerk, like, well, whatever. I think accepting negative feedback, and I think, having tough conversations is a part of life. It's, whether it's your personal life, your work life, your family life, having hard conversations is part of it. And you have to learn to take it in, accept it, digest it, and how you move on from it.
I would say that depends on where the feedback's coming from and what the intentions are. If it's done with kindness, absolutely, that's going to be a good
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
But I had a coaching session with somebody recently, and I was warned in advance that might be a little bit difficult. And I won't say any more in case they're listening. But they said to me halfway through the session, "Do I want any feedback?" And I said, "What? So feedback on your coaching style?" I said, "Not particularly, but I think you're going to do it anyway, aren't you?" I said, "No, I'm not now. I'm not going to." But I thought, well, why are you doing that to me? I'm here to help you. But
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah. Some people don't know though, and they think they know everything, or,
yeah.
they were going to tell you how to run your business. Well,
But I've
okay,
been
but
warned of that in advance. I've been warned
right.
of that this person may try and tell me how to run the business and hasn't got a clue about it. But
Myself as a matchmaker, I always ask for feedback,
yeah,
especially as I'm growing and learning. Whether it's a client that went out on a date or, maybe their contract has ended, I'm always like, please tell me, like, how did I do? How did you like the process? What would you personally feel more comfortable with or change or whatever? I think that's good for myself.
I think
But
so.
yeah, if it comes from a really negative, critical place, uh, you should go to therapy. I don't know.
I think that maybe they should. I think with feedback, you're not always going to get the answers that you want or expect when you do
Right.
this. But the good thing is about a matchmaker, you're going to ring that person up and you're going to say, how did the date go, like you said? And then you're going to get the feedback anyway. So you're going to know what the problem is, hopefully. And then
Mhm.
even though you might not relay that to the client, it's there to help you and you can then guide
Yes.
them, can't you?
Yeah.
And if you get the same
Especially
feedback,
setting up someone maybe on another date with a different person, it gives
yeah,
me a better idea of what they were like on the date, and maybe, okay, this type of personality will be better suited for them, or, whatever it is.
it just helps it improve and calibrate, I think is the word I use. But
Yeah.
what to you is the perfect first date?
Mine or for my clients?
Are you single?
I am. No, I'm kidding. I am single, but no.
Both then.
Um, so I typically ask the females what they would like to do. I want to
Uh-huh.
make sure that they feel comfortable going out with someone they've never seen, never met. Most men are okay with that as well.
Hmm.
Um, some of them just want to go for a walk and a coffee. It's not my first choice, but if that's what they're comfortable with, that's fine. I like to do more activity-based dates. Some
Uh-huh.
people like to, sit in front of each other and eat and drink. That's okay too. But a lot of people like the activity-based ones. It kind of gives you a little bit of a buffer to have fun. You know, don't be so serious. Don't sit in front of each other like it's an interview. You're, interacting either with other people or, taking turns doing whatever it is you're doing, bowling or axe throwing. Um, I send a lot of my clients out on like trivia night dates, bingo
Nice.
dates, just so you're beside each other, you're talking, but there's still something else going on that you can have fun with. But yeah, it depends what people are comfortable with.
It's funny, I actually went axe throwing at Christmas with a matchmaking company who I work with, and they took me out there.
Okay.
It was all of us were absolutely terrible axe throwing, but it was fun that we were all so rubbish, even me. I felt the
Yeah.
pressure as the only guy there to be really strong and macho, and still missing it, throwing it too hard and bouncing off. But the key word though is fun, and I think one
Yeah.
of the biggest struggles people have with dating is the fact no one's having fun. They are so tired of this and there's so much
Yeah.
pressure on themselves. And I think making it fun, doing an activity like you said, like bowling, or doing something you did maybe when you were a child, which is what bowling is, and all cinema's not so good because it's sat in the dark with strangers, but
Yeah.
reenacting fun things. Going to an arcade, a games arcade, that's a really fun thing. That's very, very, very much coming around again now. That's
Yeah.
reliving your childhood. If you had a good childhood, it doesn't matter because you're bringing out the inner child and just having fun. Because we
Yeah,
are just
exactly.
children, aren't we, in adult costumes? And that's what it should be on the date. Just go out there and have fun and be playful. And
Yeah.
people are so uptight and nervous. And I think if you do an
Yeah.
activity, you can relax more.
Yeah. Some people find it a little strange to like, ooh, bowling. And you're like, no, it's fun. And then you will laugh and you'll be more vulnerable and more relaxed with this person. Especially someone who's a bit of a serial dater, if they're constantly going out on dates and obviously they're not successful, it's like, oh, another date. I don't want to go. You're asking the same questions. You're not really listening. You're not engaged because you're just already anticipating it's not going to work out. So if you're going out and doing something a little more active, I find you loosen up a little and
I
have fun.
agree. I actually
It's a
went on.
first date. You don't have to plan out the rest of your life with this person on the first date. Just go and have fun, relax, get to know someone new.
That's it, and I completely agree. I actually went to another Christmas party with another dating company. We went bowling, and I haven't been out since then. So I don't know, don't go out very much, but activities definitely work. Now you mentioned about conversation there. People don't know what to ask. What do you think are good questions on a first date, and what are inappropriate ones?
Um, so I give some of my clients, not all of them, but some of them I think that maybe just need to break out of their shell a little bit. I'll give them a task and say, ask 3 questions that maybe will make the other person vulnerable and you vulnerable. Like something, not what's your hobby? Like we're all adults, we don't have hobbies. I think those are silly questions. So something that's, involves a little bit of intellect, thinking where you can respond to them and they can respond to you. I don't really have anything off the top of my head, but I think it's good to sort of give yourself a little bit of boost before you leave and have something prepared to talk about. Obviously, it doesn't have to be like scripted and you don't have to write an essay, but if you go in there and for people who are nervous or maybe haven't been dating in a while, it's good to, come up with something you want to ask them. Maybe it's based on like a dating profile that you saw of them or something I told them about. Um, it's good to be a little prepared.
I think showing curiosity, that's all that's important, and showing that you're interested in that person and what they're passionate about in life. That's what it's
Yes.
about. People like people who like them, and people like people who are like them. So the more things you got in common, definitely going to help as well
Yeah.
overall. What do you think you shouldn't ask?
um, I don't know about asking, but try not to talk about past relationships. Sometimes it's tough to get around it. It just comes up as a topic of conversation. But especially on the first, second date, even third date, like you're not here to talk about your ex. You're here to start something new with someone new. Let's not, like, don't be dragging your baggage into it. Some
Yeah,
people don't like to talk about their kids on a first date. Um, I don't disagree with it, but don't make it the whole topic of, the night. The point of going out with someone is to getting to know them and their life and how they live their life, but just, talk about each other. You as a person, be selfish and focus only on you and not everything else in your life.
I agree. I would say one more thing not to talk about, and that's how much you hate online dating. Everyone seems to do that, and I hear that all they do is moan at online dating because it's a negative topic.
Right.
Start off in the first half an hour in positivity, so they see you in a
Yes.
positive light. Even if you joke, and us Brits are very self-depreciating and use humour in that way, you put yourself down, they're going to think that's true, and no one's going to understand your sense of humour to start with. So I think be positive, talk about what you want rather than what you don't want. So again, don't talk about exes. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
What
That's a
about
good thing what you just said. Talk about what you want and not what you don't want.
yeah?
Yeah, I
I'm
like
gonna
that.
make a video on that in itself. That came to me when I was saying that's an important thing. And actually, right at the end of the date, do you think you should ask somebody out and there and then? Like, would you like to meet again, or should you wait until maybe the next day, or wait to speak to you? What do you think?
So for my matchmaking process, if you're going out on a first date, I have a rule of no exchanging contact info, so like phone numbers or anything. Um, you can obviously tell them that you had a great time and you'd like to see them again, but there's no formal asking them out. So both parties that went out, I meet with them after, get their feedback. And then if they would both like to go out again, then we arrange a second date. I think I do it for a comfort level so no one feels pressure to give someone their phone number when they're really not sure. And then you have to like reject them yourself or ghost them. And it's like, I do it for them if they're not comfortable.
Yeah,
So, if you're going out with someone that you met online or just out in the real world, I think it's acceptable to ask them out on the spot, but I also think it's important to read their body language and maybe get a sense of where they're at. If don't put pressure on them. So if someone's feeling a little hesitant and you have this gut feeling, don't force them to give their number or
yeah,
pre-plan a date.
I
Definitely
agree.
reading body language is really important.
It is. I think if you think that they're going to be receptive to it, there's no harm in doing it. But don't put someone on the spot because they're going to have to say
Hmm.
yes there and then, otherwise it's a bit
Right.
rude. But then you're only going to get disappointed the next day, and then you may have built that up in your head. So make people feel
Yes.
comfortable wherever you do. In terms of the happy ever afters that all of us are hoping to achieve in this, what do you think are the hallmarks of a strong, happy relationship?
Um, well, like I said earlier, communication, that's number one. It doesn't even matter like what that form of communication is, like expressing your needs, your wants, your feelings is very important.
Mhm.
Um, and I think talking about, I'm a little funny this way. So talking about things that maybe are just a social norm that you wouldn't normally talk about. So talking about monogamy,
Mhm.
I think that's really important. People just assume you're supposed to be with this one person, but maybe they feel differently. Um, Talking about things like that, making sure that you're being open and honest, and your goals. So if someone's like, oh, I don't really know if I want to have kids, they're 35, 40, and I don't know if I want to have kid. Like it's just, and the other person really wants it. You cannot force that other person, you know, to want those things, or whether it's marriage or moving to a different city or traveling and not traveling, they are who they are. Don't try and change somebody. So if they're not aligning with your values and how you want to live your life, it's okay to set them free and find someone who aligns a little bit better. But people just try and force those values that aren't there, and then it never works out ever in the end. You will be divorced, you will be heartbroken, you will be, a single parent before you know it, because you forced things on someone else that they didn't truly want.
Yeah, absolutely agree. You've got to be aligned with that. No one's going to change. So I think false expectations are one of the reasons people often fail relationships, because you expected someone to change and they're not. But I'm going to ask you a question, Katie, as we come towards the end of the recording. And I ask everyone this question. And the question is this: do you have any daily habits or routines that you like to stick to?
No. So I'm I'm not going to pretend that I wake up early and have my tea and do yoga before my kids wake up. That does not happen. I'm like all about the bad habits. If I want to be lazy and not shower and whatever I want, if the kids get off to school and I'm just like, I need an extra hour of sleep, I'm going to go back and lay in bed for an hour or whatever it is. I'm a normal human being, and I don't pretend that I'm live this great little life. I have my good days, I have my bad days. Here in Canada, I'm sure the same feeling. It's dark for 4 months of the year. So that seasonal depression is a real thing. Now we're getting into spring, which is nice. And my mood totally depends on the weather, 100%.
Yeah. That's
so
common for a lot of people.
I don't have a lot of good habits. I just live my life every day however I feel it. I'm all about whatever I want to do. That's what I'm going to do.
Sometimes no structure is the best structure.
Yes.
You are free to do what as long as you're happy doing it, then who's to tell you anything different?
Yeah. It's like eating cereal as an adult. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I shouldn't do that. It's sugary, it's junk, it's 9 p.m. And then I go, I'm an adult and I can do whatever I want. I'm going to have that bowl of Lucky Charms and you're not going to stop me.
I want some Lucky Charms now. Thank you for that. They're very expensive over here if we import them.
They are expensive.
Also very disappointing for my
I normally don't buy the junky cereal, but sometimes my kids beg me and I'll give it to them.
That's what being a parent's all about. It's giving in sometimes and not all the time. And it's a bit like dating. Sometimes you've got to just compromise, haven't you?
Yes, compromise is so important.
It is.
It's not all about being right all the time. It's about compromising.
It is. And that's what makes a happy relationship. You'll be able to communicate that as you go forwards. Now, Katie, how does somebody find out more about you? What's your website, and do you have social media?
Yeah, so I'll be very open that I suck at social media, so I try my best. So my Instagram handle is soul_matchmaking, or you can go to my website, which is soulmatchmaking.ca. And I tell everyone, whether you're a free database member or you want to be a client, everyone has to fill out the questionnaire, so you can, skip the emails and just start with that, and then I get back to you.
Love that. Well, thank you so much, Katie. Absolute pleasure to talk to you. And I wish you all the best. And anyone listening, reach out to Katie. She'll be a perfect person to help you, if you're in the right areas, of course.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks a lot. We'll speak soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to give you a free copy of my latest book, which you can download right now from my website, jamespreece.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, I'd really appreciate it if you could share the love by taking a few seconds to write a positive review on the iTunes store right now. See you next time.